Hello and welcome to Oakcast with me, Daryl Smith, and joining me today is the head of PI, Rob Crompton.
Good afternoon.
Bit of a role reversal today to the first episode, as I will be taking the lead on this and asking a few questions about something known as vehicle diminution. Rob, if you can just let me know a little bit more about vehicle diminution and the niche area that it is.
Yeah, you've pronounced it correctly. Most people don't, including the insurance companies that I speak to. It's not diminution. It is vehicle diminution. And basically what it is the loss in market value of your vehicle if it has been involved in a car accident and then gone on to have been repaired. It is claiming back, trying to value and then claiming back that market value from the responsible party's insurance company, and the loss that will have been sustained on the market because of public perception, because nobody wants to buy a vehicle that has been involved in a car accident.
Is it more for the higher end value vehicles, such as your prestige vehicles?
I think that whilst that definitely does have a ring of truth to it, I think it does certainly apply to prestige sports, high value, but it doesn't stop or prevent a claim for being put in for a lower value vehicle, but it is going to affect the value of the claim. The higher the value of the vehicle, the more likely the claim will be of a more significant value.
So speaking of things that it would affect to put in a claim, would it affect my insurance at all?
Well, you'd be claiming off the other driver's insurance company. So if it's a fault accident, it's not something that you'll be able to claim from your own insurance company. And generally speaking, your own insurance companies won't deal with this type of claim because it's classed as an uninsured loss. So your fully comprehensive policy won't cover this. In the same way that your insurance company might pay for the repair costs, but they won't pay for your medication charges or treatment fees. Those are all classed as uninsured losses, so you need to get them from the other insurance company.
Right. Would I be able to claim if, for example, the car was a total loss?
If it's a total loss, then in theory, you should be recovering the pre-accident value of the vehicle anyway. So you should be put financially back into the position you were in before the accident happened. So this only really applies to vehicles that have gone on to be repaired.
Right. Okay. So what if I was at fault for the accident?
If you're at fault, then unfortunately you're not going to be able to claim it. As a bit like I said earlier, it's classed as an uninsured loss. So if you have a fully comprehensive policy, your insurers will deal with certain elements of your claim for you, but unfortunately they won't deal with a diminution claim now.
With diminution involving obviously the repair work of a damaged vehicle, is diminution at all a result of poor repair work?
Diminution can't actually be assessed until the vehicle has been repaired to a commercially acceptable standard. So if you have had your car in for repairs and you're not happy with the quality of the repair work, it's an issue that needs to be taken up with the garage. Once you've had the car back, at that point, you can assess whether it has sustained vehicle diminution. The last thing you want to do is get a diminution report that says that the vehicle's lost X amount of money, to disclose that to the insurance company and then find out or get a response from the insurance company that basically criticised the quality of the repair work and blames that for the loss in value. So the two aren't linked.
So can you tell me a bit more about the process of putting a diminution claim in? So, for example, how long would I have to start or have to be able to start a claim?
Well, the limitation period for a money claim, a financial claim, is actually 6 years. Because we're talking about a car accident, which there's a very good chance we'll know the date of the car accident, the claim can be put in within 6 years. Court proceedings would need to be issued within 6 years, but it's very, very rare that I would be putting a claim in that is as old as that. Generally speaking, people who've had a car accident realise that they've suffered a loss and will put a claim in within the sort of first 12 months or so, or when they've been advised or come across the vehicle diminution concept.
Okay, so on that basis, what should you do to ensure that you recover the most compensation as quickly as possible? Well,
I think the first thing you've got to do is make sure you've got the vehicle repaired to a decent standard. The process involves obtaining a copy of the repair documentation. Having photographs of the damaged vehicle is beneficial to the engineer who'll go out and see the car and provide the diminution report. Pretty much that's it. As long as we've got all the third-party details, the registration numbers, that'll avoid any delays in trying to identify who the insurance company was. But we'll get the repair documentation together, the photographs, estimates, order text reports, and then they'll go off to an engineer who will make an appointment to do a physical inspection of the vehicle, factor in all of the repairs that have been carried out, and then provide a report which tells us how much market value the car's deemed to have been lost.
Is that physical inspection of the vehicle necessary to proceed with the claim?
Yeah, I think it is. There are some engineering firms and maybe solicitors who would run this sort of case and do what's called a desktop report, but I'm not sure that that's the right way to deal with it. I'd want to see an engineer go out and actually testify to say, yes, I've seen the car, I've seen it inside and out, I've checked the mileage, the report that they'll be compiling is prepared for the courts. So, they can't really do a desktop search desktop inspection, in my opinion, and do it for the duty of the court and say that they've signed it to say that they're definitely happy with the information that they're putting in the report unless they've seen the vehicle.
Well, from a logical standpoint, it does make a lot more sense in that sense. So, yeah, I understand that. What if the third-party insurers refuse to settle the claim?
Well, obviously, that's kind of one of the reasons we're here, is to put forward the arguments as to why vehicle diminution applies. From my experience, not a lot of the insurance companies have come across this before. So we would argue, depending on what the arguments the insurance company have put forward, we would obviously go back to them and use the arguments that we've come up with over the years of been doing that have been doing this. If the negotiation process fails, then we can involve the courts and we can bring a civil action against the other driver or the insurance company responsible, and let the courts decide. Generally speaking, on those cases where we have issued court proceedings, they have gone on to settle. Most of them are probably uneconomical to pursue through the courts for the insurance company. So it's a good tool to use to be able to push the matter, to force their hand. And as I said, most of them will go on to settle.
We've mentioned the economical standpoint there. So the big question is, how much would a diminution claim be worth?
It's difficult. There are so many sort of factors that need to be looked into. I mean, the claim that we will submit will be based on the valuation that the engineer has put within the report, but the engineer is going to factor in half a dozen things to determine that valuation: the age of the vehicle, the mileage, the condition of the car, the desirability on the market, how many previous owners, and generally speaking, they'll find a pre-accident value for the vehicle in the same way that you would with a total loss. And then using a point scoring system would try and determine what the percentage is that the vehicle's lost because of the accident. One of the main factors is the nature and the extent of the damage that has been sustained to the accident. So you could have a fantastic, lovely vehicle, brand new, but if it's only had some very, very minor cosmetic damage, then that percentage is going to be very low, if not non-existent. So a percentage, pre-accident value percentage, may range between sort of 2.5% and some of the higher value ones up to 15%.
It does seem like the best way to try and answer that question is to speak to someone professionally like yourself. So that leads me on to the question of why would you need a solicitors and why Oakwood Solicitors?
Well, the insurance companies don't like to pay out. The claims department's objective is to try and get away from paying, whether you've got a personal injury claim from a car accident, whether it's vehicle damage, whether it's hire charges, they do not want to pay out. So they've got a book of arguments that they will use. Some are more insistent than others, but we know those arguments and we know the arguments to return to them with. Why Oakwood Solicitors? Well, I've come across many examples of law firms who have run personal injury claims. They have a duty to include uninsured losses, which may be something along the lines of loss of earnings. Now, if they didn't deal with loss of earnings, then in my view, that would be negligence. However, a lot of clients that I've spoken to about diminution, the solicitors do not want to deal with it. They don't have the experience of it. A lot of them don't know what it is. Whereas we've been doing these on a sort of wide scale, on a large scale for at least 3 years now. So yeah, come and speak to us. If you've got any questions, we can answer them. I'm quite happy to have a free chat with anyone who's got any concerns or thinks that this may have applied to them. And yeah, happy to help.
I feel like I've learnt something myself here today. Thanks.
At least you can pronounce it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks very much for listening to episode 2 of the Oakcast. Links below to some of Rob's pages. Yeah, thank you very much.
No probs. Thank you.
Oakwood Solicitors is a multi-service law firm. Our award-winning team is here to help you whatever your query may be. Call us now for a free consultation on 0113 200 9787 or visit us at www.oakwoodsolicitors.co.uk. Oakwood Solicitors, traditional law, modern ways.